It all started on an ordinary Tuesday morning in the sprawling mansion of the billionaire CEO, Daniel Hartman, a man known for his sharp mind, demanding nature, and unmatched business instincts. He was buried in a storm of frustration. His company, Hartman Technologies, had hit a wall. A massive $300 million project was on the verge of collapse due to an unsolved algorithmic flaw that not even his top-tier team of analysts, data scientists, and engineers could decode. Deadlines loomed, investors were panicking, and Daniel's patience was wearing dangerously thin. That same morning, as Daniel walked past the study room on his way to his private office, he overheard something unusual. The gentle, calm voice of Elena, his children's nanny, was explaining something to his 8-year-old son. At first, it sounded like a simple math lesson. But a few words caught his attention: variable correlation, data pattern, and optimization. Words that only professionals in his world used. Curiosity made him pause. From the half-open door, Daniel quietly listened. What he heard next made his heart skip a beat. Elena wasn't just helping with homework, she was walking his son through a complex mathematical model that mirrored the exact issue his billion-dollar analytics team had been struggling with. But the way she broke it down was unlike anything he'd ever seen: simple, intuitive, and elegantly logical. Daniel froze as she effortlessly rearranged equations and identified the error in logic that his experts had overlooked. His mind raced. How could a nanny, someone hired to care for his kids, understand high-level econometrics? He stepped closer, watching her scribble equations across the notebook with graceful confidence, explaining them with such clarity that even his son understood. For a moment, Daniel forgot his position, his company, and even the stress that had consumed him for weeks. All he could see was pure, raw genius hiding behind a humble smile. He couldn't decide what shocked him more: that she had solved a problem his team of PhDs couldn't, or that she did it unknowingly, thinking it was just a fun exercise. In that instant, the image of Elena the nanny shattered. Daniel realized she wasn't ordinary. He didn't yet know her story, how she had ended up there, or why someone with such intellect was working as a nanny, but one thing was certain: she had just cracked open the door to a miracle his company desperately needed. And Daniel Hartman was about to find out exactly who she really was. The magnitude of the problem facing Hartman Technologies was nothing short of catastrophic. The company had invested heavily in a cutting-edge AI-driven investment model, designed to predict market fluctuations and secure unprecedented profits. With $300 million on the line, this model wasn't just a project, it was the lifeblood of the company's future. Yet, despite weeks of work from his elite team of analysts, the algorithm kept failing. Each attempt to correct it only led to more inconsistencies, threatening to unravel the entire project. Daniel Hartman, a man used to controlling every detail of his empire, was unaccustomed to failure. Yet, every morning he stared at the growing list of losses and errant projections, feeling an unfamiliar knot of anxiety tighten in his chest. Investors were calling daily, demanding explanations. The board was restless. Even casual conversations with employees were tinged with tension. The air in the office felt heavy, charged with fear of a looming disaster. The $300 million at stake wasn't just numbers on a spreadsheet, it represented years of work, millions of lives connected to the company, and Daniel's reputation as a visionary leader. The algorithm's failure had far-reaching consequences. The company's stock had begun to fluctuate wildly, clients were hesitant to commit to contracts, and competitors were circling, ready to take advantage of Hartman Technologies' vulnerability. It was a problem that could destroy the empire Daniel had spent decades building. In this climate of urgency and pressure, every solution proposed by his senior analysts seemed insufficient. They debated models, tested theories, and ran simulations, but each step forward felt like 2 steps back. Frustration mounted. Meetings stretched for hours, only to end in deadlock. Daniel himself tried to tackle the problem, but the complexity of the data, combined with the subtle flaw hidden deep within the code, was beyond even his considerable expertise. And then, unexpectedly, the answer appeared, not in a boardroom full of mathematicians or a high-tech lab, but in his children's study room, scribbled on a notebook by Elena, the nanny. What she solved in a matter of seconds had taken Daniel's top minds weeks of trial and error. It wasn't just a solution, it was a revelation, a lifeline that could save the company and restore stability to an industry on edge. Suddenly, the stakes of her insight became clear. The $300 million problem was no longer just a looming disaster, it was an opportunity, a chance to transform an unassuming nanny into a pivotal figure in the company's salvation. What Daniel did next would change everything, both for his company and for Elena herself. The moment Daniel realized the nanny had solved a problem worth $300 million, a mixture of shock, curiosity, and disbelief coursed through him. He had always believed in recognizing talent, but this was unprecedented. Elena, the quiet, kind, and unassuming woman who had cared for his children for years, had just cracked the impossible. Yet, Daniel knew he couldn't act impulsively, he had to understand the extent of her abilities and see if this was truly a one-time stroke of luck or something far more extraordinary. That afternoon, he approached Elena in the living room. His tone was casual, masking the whirlwind of thoughts racing in his mind. "Elena," he said, "can we talk about something, work-related?" She looked up, slightly puzzled, but nodded. He led her to his private office, a sleek, modern room filled with screens, charts, and the hum of technology. The contrast between the comfort of home and the intensity of the office was striking, and he wanted to see how she would react under pressure. Daniel carefully framed the situation. He didn't reveal the scale of the company's problem right away. Instead, he presented a simplified version of the algorithm and watched her reaction closely. At first, Elena appeared hesitant, almost apologetic, as though she had no business in this world of high finance. But as he explained the logic and the objective, a spark ignited in her eyes, a mix of recognition and excitement. Then came the test. Daniel asked her to walk through the model in real time, pointing out any inconsistencies or areas of improvement. The room, normally filled with tension when analysts debated, fell silent. Elena picked up a pen, scribbled calculations, and began to articulate her solution with clarity, confidence, and precision. Within minutes, she had not only identified the flaw but also proposed a solution that was elegant and efficient, far surpassing the work of his professional team. Daniel's initial shock transformed into a mix of admiration and a slight sense of awe. He realized that he was witnessing the raw brilliance of someone whose talent had gone unnoticed, hidden in the most unlikely of places. This was no ordinary nanny, this was a person with extraordinary analytical ability, intuition, and courage. By the end of the session, Daniel knew one thing for certain, he could no longer see Elena in the same light. The bold confrontation had revealed her potential, but it also posed a question he couldn't ignore: how could he leverage this genius to save his company, and perhaps, change the course of her life forever? The moment Elena demonstrated her ability to solve the algorithm, Daniel Hartman knew he was witnessing something extraordinary. What had started as a casual test had quickly evolved into a revelation. Elena was not just a caregiver, she was a strategic thinker with a mind capable of navigating complex financial systems, spotting patterns, and innovating solutions in ways seasoned experts could not. Daniel immediately recognized the potential impact of her insight. The simplified model she presented wasn't just a patch, it was a transformation. By restructuring the equations and correcting subtle flaws, she had created a solution that was not only functional but scalable. The model could now predict market trends with unprecedented accuracy, potentially increasing profits while mitigating risks. In essence, she had turned a near-catastrophic $300 million failure into a golden opportunity for the company. What made her brilliance even more remarkable was her approach. Elena didn't rely on brute force calculations or overcomplicated formulas. Instead, she applied intuition, logic, and a fresh perspective, a combination that had eluded the company's most experienced analysts. Her method was elegant and surprisingly simple, proving that sometimes, the most complex problems can be solved by thinking differently rather than thinking harder. As the hours passed, Daniel's executives, who had been called into the office to witness the breakthrough, were equally stunned. Analysts who had been confident in their work were now humbled by the clarity and efficiency of Elena's solution. Murmurs of astonishment filled the room as they watched her present her findings, step by step, answering questions with precision and confidence. The transformation from Nanny to Innovator was no longer just a perception, it was undeniable fact. Daniel realized that her contribution went beyond technical skill, she had brought a new culture of problem-solving into the company. Her approach encouraged simplicity, clarity, and innovation, qualities that had been missing in a corporate environment often bogged down by hierarchy and overcomplication. She had shown that true talent could emerge from the most unexpected places and that the value of fresh perspectives could not be underestimated. By the end of the day, Daniel made a life-changing decision. Elena would no longer remain confined to the role of a nanny. She was offered a pivotal position in the company, one that would allow her to lead innovation and strategy, a recognition not only of her intellectual brilliance but of her ability to think differently, solve problems efficiently, and create meaningful impact. The once humble nanny had officially become a driving force behind the company's most critical project, poised to shape its future in ways no one had imagined. By the time the meeting concluded, it was clear to everyone in the room that Elena was no ordinary nanny. Her calm demeanor had masked a mind capable of solving problems that had baffled the company's top analysts for weeks. Daniel Hartman, usually composed and measured, felt a surge of admiration and urgency. The question that now dominated his thoughts was simple yet profound: how could he ensure that her brilliance was fully recognized and utilized, both for the company's benefit and for her own future? Without hesitation, Daniel called Elena into his private office once more. This time, he didn't test her, he didn't question her, he made an offer that would change her life forever. He presented her with a high-ranking executive role, one that came with responsibility, influence, and compensation that matched her extraordinary contribution. It was a position that would allow her to lead innovation, shape strategy, and directly impact the company's trajectory. Elena was stunned. The offer was beyond anything she had imagined. Her life until now had been simple, defined by caring for children and managing a household. She had never sought recognition, fame, or wealth. Yet, the opportunity before her was not just a reward for her intellect, it was a chance to step into a world she had never known, to challenge herself, and to make a difference on a scale she had never dreamed possible. The CEO's gesture did more than offer her a new career, it sent a powerful message to the entire company. Talent could come from anywhere. Innovation could emerge from unexpected places. And visionaries, like Daniel, were those who recognized and nurtured potential wherever it appeared. His decision to elevate Elena wasn't just generous, it was a strategic masterstroke that would inspire loyalty, creativity, and a renewed sense of purpose within the organization. In the weeks that followed, Elena adapted to her new role with remarkable ease. She transformed the team's approach to problem-solving, introducing methods that were intuitive, efficient, and groundbreaking. The algorithm she had fixed became a model of success, doubling projected profits and stabilizing a project that had teetered on the brink of disaster. The company, once on edge, now thrived, all because a CEO had recognized genius in an unexpected place and had the courage to act decisively. Elena's journey from nanny to executive became a story of inspiration, resilience, and opportunity. It was proof that talent knows no boundaries, that brilliance can emerge in the most ordinary of settings, and that sometimes, a single encounter can change the course of multiple lives forever. The CEO's choice didn't just save $300 million, it created a narrative of transformation, hope, and the incredible power of recognizing potential where others see none.